What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris Jamel here, creator and founder of the Lifestyle NYC, and we are back today with a brand new interview. Before we jump into the interview, though, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Visionary Society, my boy Dio, Shadai. Shout out to the entire team. As you can see, I'm wearing Visionary Society head to toe, hat, shirt, tearaway pants. Get anything you need, visionarysociety.com. Again, visionarysociety.com. Now, let's jump into our interview. My guest, my guy, one of the best media people in the game right now, my boy Eddie Bansky Gonzalez. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, bro?
Chilling, man. I'm chilling. It's a pleasure, bro.
Nah, thanks for coming with the crib. I'm so like, it made sense to me when somebody explained it. On the West Coast, we always have people come visit at the house, right? We have barbecues, we do whatever. Out here, everybody don't kick it at each other's house. The apartments be a little kind of small. You might have a roommate. It's a little different vibe. So I don't have guests too often. So I'm happy to have guests come through.
That's a fact. When you told me to pull up at the crib, I was like, I don't know if I'm not sure if that's just like a substitute almost, like if he feels comfortable with that. But when you opened your arms and said, yo, pull up and bring the homies with you if that's what you're doing.
It's cool.
I fuck with that. How you doing though, bro? Like how's everything been? With everything that's been going on.
I've been blessed, man. I've had a nice, exciting year. I mean, I was telling my little bro, he's out here visiting. People always feel like I'm busy. It's like I feel like I'm less busy than ever now. I got more free time and I get to kind of just chill and then I lock in and do the work. So I've been blessed. I got a good, nice work life balance. So I've been chilling, man, enjoying my view out here.
Yeah, this view is amazing. I ain't gonna hold you. To be able to get this and like just the aesthetic of everything is like the perfect layout for somebody who's like kind of new to New York almost.
Yeah, bro. I'm definitely still transplant phase. Like my man Craig Jenkins called me a bridge and tunnel guy. Like I'm not really out here.
Right.
He's right though. I'm over here on the Jersey side now. Man, I try to keep my little bit of privacy I could get, and then hit the city when it's time. So it's like I love the city, and then I love getting out the city.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to that, 1,000%. So man, I want to start at the beginning. You from Cali, Sacramento to be exact. Talk a little bit about your upbringing there and just how you were sort of introduced to the world of just entertainment media, like your very first introduction to it.
Yeah, I mean, I was raised single mother. I mean, what Drake say, sad story, boohoo sad story, like everybody dad, like, but my mom always had music around. My mom always kind of like pushed us to do whatever. So, my uncle, handed me pop tapes, Snoop tapes, shit like that, and that was always my introduction to that. I was always playing sports. So that was always my world, was sports music. And I was a reader. So I'd be at the grocery store flipping through The Source, flipping through XXL, flipping through Sports Illustrated. And so I was always just consuming information, getting as much as I could. So that was my whole upbringing. Like my birthday must have been 7. I took my birthday money to Tower Records. I'm old. So I took my money to Tower Records and I bought Doggy Style and Chronic. I had to ask somebody there, like, can you get it? Because, they had to, you had to be 18 to buy the shit.
Yeah, it's a fact.
And the dude bought it for me. So, but I've just been doing that since then. And, the people closest to me, like I said, my little bros here, like, they trip out on the shit I do now because it's weird how they all set the stage. It's like, used to stay reading, used to stay like locked into everything, like you always up on shit. And now like it's your job to tell them stories, it's your job to connect those fabrics. And so it was just, I'm the oldest of, my mom got 5 kids, my dad got 6. And
man.
So like I'm the oldest of a big family, and the way we came up, I kind of like made it out, right? Yeah. But I didn't see it like that. I still see it like I got work to do. I still see it like there's more places to go. So it's been a journey though, man. It's been, like you said, starting from the beginning.
Facts.
Yeah, way back then, just locking into culture, I guess they call it now. Yeah. We didn't call it that when we was doing it, but now they gotta have a word. Yeah. It used to be urban, now it's culture. They gonna have another word next year.
Yeah, they're gonna think of something in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, but you should just always tap in. It was just me from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So with you being a West Coast guy and reading things like The Source, Double XL, things of that nature, like who were some of like your West Coast influences when it came to media, when it came to entertainment, like the people that you sort of gravitated to that was in this space?
I feel like anybody my age, Elliot Wilson was like that guy, you know, and it used to be YM. He used to be the editor of Double XL, you know, and then the guys at Slam, you know, we interviewed them on our show, you know, Scoop and Russ, and it just kind of
Scoop is a legend.
Yeah, I mean, Scoop is Scoop, right? Scoop set the stage for so many things, and then, you know, as far as the sports side, tapping into like Bill Simmons was like a revelation when I first started reading him. It was like I didn't know we could just write the way we just talk about shit, you know. And but that's what Slam showed me too, and that's what Double XL showed me. But yeah, a lot of them. I mean, it's crazy because now like I could call Elliot and say, "Yo, what's up?" You know, help me out with this and this and that. And now I could call Russ Benston, I could call Scoop Jackson, and you know, life is a trip. But yeah, definitely that. And like I used to be the kid that was just devouring that shit. Like I used to go to my uncle's house. He's the only one in my family that had internet. I used to just sit on the computer reading shit, just ESPN Page 2 and whatever. Like I used to go to this lyrics website and just read lyrics to songs, OHHLA, and it was just read lyrics and like that's how I find music. They're like a top 25. It's like, 50 got a new song. Where is that? Like that type of shit. So like I used to just devour information. You know what I mean? And then, but those people like those figureheads like Scoop, like Elliot, it showed me like you could actually tell these stories and you could live this life. Like you had this fantasy of what a writer's life is like, and you think they just jet set and then they just kicking it at all the parties, and it's like halfway true. But I didn't even know it was possible at all. So it was just coming to the realization that people could do this for a living. And but even then, like I waited dumb long. Like I took way too long to get started. So it's like, but those figureheads was always important for me for sure.
Yeah, that was gonna be sort of my next point because I kind of got the same background as far as like starting late in like this space. Like I had a very late start. Granted, I was always sort of invested in it, and I had people that I looked towards, but wasn't really all the way in it. But I had a very late start. So in your case, like now you've grown into this being that you've become so invested in this thing.
Yeah.
You've become invested in the culture, the music, the reading, the magazines. Let's say right now you're like mid-teens. Yeah. Where are you right now as far as your interest in this space?
My interest was girls at that time, so I wasn't really on shit, to be honest. But I mean, I was just trying to live, right? Trying to get money, trying to live. I wasn't even considering what could happen after high school or getting through high school. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you're young, you want to be a baseball player. Then it's like, when you get about 16, it's like, man, I'm going to get a job where my uncle worked. You know, he make $20 an hour. That's bread. And your whole perspective changed. So I had no pathway to that. You know what I mean? Like, I had good grades for like half high school, and then the other half was off on some other shit. So college wasn't in my plans, like nothing. It was like, how do I get money? How do I get money? In the high school, I had a daughter. And it's like straight to the money, like straight to the money, and you know, still consuming information, still locked into the culture at all times, and still locked into the, you know, all these different facets of me. But I wasn't anywhere on that path. When I finally went to school, it was like on the fluke. It was for some money. It was like literally at community college, and the dude's like, I dropped out of high school, so the dude was like, well, if you're 18, it doesn't matter. I was like, all right. And he's like, plus if you go, you could get financial aid. You get like 2 racks by the end of the week. I'm like, what? So that was enough.
Was it like a community college or like a trade school?
It was a community college.
Oh, okay.
So that was enough. So I was like, shit, sign me up. Then we took like a little assessment test. He signed me up for FAFSA. And we was out. I was like, cool. And even then, like, I spent like, it's a community, because you don't supposed to be there 2 years. I spent like the first 2 years just fucking around. And I did an essay, and the teacher was like, you should try news writing, you should try this. And it just slowly went from there. But when I got started writing, really getting into media, I was on Twitter. It was on Twitter, which has been like, shit, Armando, like Twitter, it does so much connecting for me. Like, that was more useful than the degree I eventually got, you know? So it's a trip how it works. I mean, Twitter wasn't a tool when, like you said, when I'm 15 trying to figure out what to do. But when I'm 23, 24, it's there. And it's like, now I can talk to this person, talk to that person. I would have never got in the same room as them people. So,
yeah, social media has become that. We talk about that all the time in our mind, just about like the tool it's become to just connect people more so than being like what it was, where you could just go in there and bullshit and have a good time. So for you now, you've gone through college now. You're still in the process of figuring it out. As you mentioned, now you're a brand new dad. Where are you finding your balance on like how to progress throughout what you want to do now that you figured it out, but now you have a daughter?
Yeah, I mean, and by then I had my son too. But it was just like, it was the same thing. Like, I'm trying to go where the money's at. You know, hustling mentality. Like, where can I get bread? And there's this like faint idea that I could actually make money talking about new songs and talking about old songs I love and talking about basketball, talking about whatever. It's like, if that's available, I want to see what that's about. And you know, when I finally reached out to John Gotti from the Smoking Section, he had like open call to writers, and he's like, send me something. If it's good, I'll post it. And I sent him. It was something about Aaron Hernandez. It was like a break in his case or whatever.
Ah, man.
So it was like some new shit. I like, it was hella quippy and like it made hella jokes about it or whatever. He posted it and then like just started giving me pointers little bit by little bit, little bit by little bit. But he was like, yeah, come write with us and write about some shit you actually like.
Yeah.
All right. So then I started writing about songs I like. I started writing about this new artist, and I think Wiz might have been this shit at the time. It's like, so I'm writing about this song and that song and putting people up. And it just took from there. And I mean, and the thing for me, they kind of painted a clear picture of actually doing something was David Dennis and Justin Tinsley was there. And it's just watching them. I just felt they were so far ahead of me. Like, I'll never get there, but like I could get somewhere and do something. You know what I mean? Little do I know, they grinding, they working day jobs, they doing this, that, and the third. But it was like, if I could be half as good as them, like I could make something shake here. You know what I mean? And so I was just trying to soak up as much game as I could and follow their lead and see where it went. Like I was so like off the seat of my pants, just seeing what happens. You know what I mean? Because when I was going to school, I had enrolled in the pharmacy tech program. So it was like, all right, either I'm going to do this or I'm going to finish these 2 semesters and I'm going to go get a job at like Walgreens. And that's that. Then I'm going to just be locked into that. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And shit started moving and it went from there.
Yeah, you was talking about the Smoker Section that eventually ended up to being Up Rocks, right?
Yeah, so Smoker Section was its own thing. I think they got, Gotti would know better than me. I think technically they merged with Up Rocks. And Up Rocks eventually phased them out, which pissed me off. That's a whole other story. Like, you know, Up Rocks was, you know, that was my first job though. Like in media, they started paying me, and it was on some like, Gotti had came to me like, look, we got some money, and the way they're gonna do this is they're gonna pay per post. So what you do is just get your numbers up these next month, and I'll make sure you're one of the people they pay. Like, all right, cool. So I did hella posts that month. I did hella like clickbait shit too. Like, how do I get the most views this month, right? But it worked, and it was like $10 a post, and I was geeked. I was like, hell yeah, I'm about to do 100 posts this month. Nice. I'm gonna get some shoes. I'm gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna pay for my son to play basketball, all this shit. I'm pay the cable bill. It's a free rap, and you know, it's funny that like that was the goal at the time. And it's like, man, how do I get 15? How do I? Maybe they could just give me 2,000, no, not per post. You know what I mean? And those were my like little small, my little stepping stones at the time. And so it's just funny looking back at that shit. But that's how it became real, and I just kept learning from there. And it's like, yo, can I interview people? I'm like, fuck yeah, go interview. Like, can you? Like, hey. I'm gonna try, right? I'm gonna try. And then I'm like talking to Boogie and Isaiah Rashad and like you know, whoever would let me come talk to them at their show, you know what I mean? I just wanted to go to the concert.
Facts.
And it's like, okay, can I get tickets? Can we talk though too? Oh, perfect. Like, you know what I mean? And I was able to just get my reps there. I didn't know what I was doing. Like,
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is like, you're there now and you're kind of catching your stride at this point.
Yeah.
But like, for somebody who's new in this space, and me and Amon can attest to this, because we all had that struggle of like, yo, we want to do it, but how the fuck do we really do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you like kind of get your feet beneath you to really, I guess, pinpoint how to do these certain things?
You know,
like daily news articles, interviews, shit like that.
It's funny, like, I remember talking to Kevin about this, like, one of our first convos we had, and we was talking about hoopers, and like, some hoopers are so mechanical and you can see the workout moves, and some hoopers are so fluid, and like, I kept bringing up Kyrie. Kyrie is so, like, I bet Kyrie told us he works on his moves, and I bet he does. But he works on them in like a natural setting. Like, he'll play pickup and work on that shit. And it's like, it's so natural when he plays. And there's other players, like I said, you could see the footwork from what they're doing. Like, it works, it still works, but it doesn't have that natural feel. So it's like, in a weird way, I was blessed to not have no real formal training, because I get people come to me all the time, ask about like my interview style. I'm like, I just show up and talk. You know what I mean? I don't have cue cards. I don't have, you know what I mean? So I just want to talk to people. And same thing when I'm writing. Like, Gotti helped me a lot. Like, regular shit I probably should have learned in school, but he always stressed to me, like, keep your voice. Keep your voice. And that was the main thing I was always trying to do. Was like, anything I do, I want it to be in my voice. So I don't want to, which means I don't want to cover shit I don't like, which means I don't want to be around, like, you know, you're not going to just send me to whatever event and say cover that, because it's going to be too, like, I don't know, fundamental, too
like
forced.
Too scripted almost, yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to do that. And so I always had that barrier for myself to stop. And by not having as much formal training and then kind of learning on the fly, like, I'm going to concerts, I don't know, like, the standards of what I'm supposed to and not supposed to do. So I'm just kind of, like, moving like me. And I was able to kind of get my own style of that shit. You know, had I went through college and interned and learned all, like, the ins and outs of that, it might not have turned out the same, because I'm
too robotic.
Yeah, too robotic. And then I'm just one of everybody else, and now I'm the only me. And so it was like, it was a struggle at first for sure, because I didn't know what I was doing. They gave me permission to do whatever I wanted, and I didn't know, like, I didn't know where to check in at the show to find out, you know, what I mean? I'm like, I'm messaging the artist directly and shit. And he's like, yo, talk to my manager because I'm kind of busy, bro. And it's like, stuff like that. But that kept it natural for me at all times. And it was able to, it pops, it stands out when you do that, you know what I mean? Because everybody could do the way they teach you in school. You go to classes, 40 people in there with you. All of them learning that, you know what I mean? Not everybody's learning it this way, so. It was, you know, it was work. It was work, though. That's when it finally felt like work, but in a good way.
Yeah, I think for me that was a huge struggle, was being able to like find my voice. And when I was like freelancing and all of that, it was very difficult to do that because I was like doing daily news articles. So to be able to find my voice when I'm talking about a new Migos video or something like it was just very difficult for me to do that. Like, I didn't really start doing it until I created this platform. Where I was able to kind of just do my own thing, you know what I mean? And it's been 3 years now, so like now you've done that, and then now you play into what social media is. Where sometimes you gotta kind of play the game of what social media is.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So like, how do you, for you, now that you're on this path and you're doing what you're doing now, how do you still maintain that authenticity on what you're doing on social media?
Well, luckily, like, so much of what I do is established from that anyway. So it's like, people show up, they want the dude, the smart ass from Twitter. They want that asshole. And, you know, that's not the whole me. I'm actually like a nice guy. But that's definitely part of me. Like, it could be, you know, it's the most smart ass part of me. But, like, you know, thankfully, I had like really frank conversations with Kevin and Rich when we really first started rocking. It's like, if y'all want me to cool this out, like, I can, like, to a point, but I can cool some of this shit. It's like, nah, fuck that. Like, that's what helps make you valuable, you know, keep on. Like, Rich especially was like, nah, lean into that shit, fuck that. And so, luckily I didn't have that at ESPN.
Yeah.
And that's a story into itself, but ESPN, the vibe was a little different. It was a little more kind of curbing me in a sense. And that was a big part of my downfall there, but now I'm lucky to be in a space where it's been embracing that and want that out of me. So, I'm sure at some point we're gonna get there, but like that's how me and Kevin met, was off that. And our earliest conversation was like, you don't take this shit too serious, right? And it's like, nah. And like we approach social media the same way. I'm here to get my laughs and get on, I got a life going on too.
He gets his laughs.
Yeah, and so it was just refreshing to hear that, and it's part of the reason why him and I clicked, because it's like we was approaching it in the same way.
Word. So yeah, I mean, shit, man. Back to the downfalls, because I'm sure we've all experienced a lot of those in freelance world or whatever we were doing. You eventually ended up doing some work with Revolt as well, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned ESPN contributing to parts of your downfall. Like making that transition, how were you able to just sharpen your skills in writing and media? And like what did you feel was the downfall outside of what you mentioned about them not really allowing you to be yourself, and ESPN specifically?
Yeah, I mean, most places Revolt 100% allow me to do my thing. My guy Will Ketchum, he put me on there. He put me on the vibe too.
I'm following him too. He's really dope.
He put me on there too, and it was like, just do your thing. And then they were damn near accepting any picture I sent, and so it was like, cool. I get to come here and rock and say what I want to say, and nobody had gotten in my way, Thankfully at that point I was pretty well established and was able to call that shot and able to kind of do that when necessary. I didn't have to. If I felt strongly enough about a passage or a paragraph or a word, I could stand on it and say, well, I don't need your money. I'll go put this on Medium. I'll go put this somewhere else, and it'll be there. And, everybody doesn't have that. That's a blessing. Everybody doesn't have that. But when you get there, it's on you to stand on that shit for yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's your name at the top of this. It's their publication, but it's your name on top of all these words. And they will be quick to say, this author does not represent this platform. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, shit, I represent me. I'm going to make sure I'm saying what I got to say. And honestly, ESPN was the first place where I felt like that was curved in any way. And I went there as a social media specialist, so it's a little different. And but they told me coming in, like, you're not... you shouldn't be doing work outside of what we do here. And I was like, all right, and I tried to work it out with him, and I actually had to stop doing a podcast, and it's like,
oh, that's crazy.
And it's like, well, will y'all let me write on the site?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Word, like, give me some.
I'll write on ESPN.com, like, hell yeah. But it wasn't an option, and so, I accepted that because I thought social media was the next step in my journey in that sense, but I had so much shit brewing and cooking. It's like, it gotta be a little more than this. And then, I just had a couple incidents where I just went and did shit anyway. And they were like, yo, what are you doing? And even on social media, it was like, you can't really talk like this on here. And just like, I just wasn't with that. And the thing for me was I always had like an ace up my sleeve anyway, because me and Kay was already cooking it. We wanted to do bigger shit than what I was doing. So it was like, was just waiting for the right time to head to do what we was doing. We was all waiting. And the pandemic happened, so it was like, everything's in a weird spot. But, when you sign up ESPN, you sign up for that. So I kind of knew going in, I was going to lose some of my agency in a sense. I thought it was going to be worth it. For some people it is, for some people it's not. For me, it wasn't. I couldn't be boxed in at that point. And, it was just, I knew pretty early on, like, I have other shit I want to do. And if I'm not going to be able to do it here, that means I can't be here.
Yeah, it's kind of stuck in your growth in a sense, you know what I mean? Like,
Because when I went there, I went on some, like, ESPN's the top of sports media. They're when you get in there, it's like, you do orientation, they tell you, we're number one in almost every space we operate in. TV, movie, they're talking about Disney as a whole. TV, movies, sports media, social media, all these places. They own National Geographic, they own all this stuff. Wherever we do something, we're the best. And it was like a lot of people wanted this job, and you're the one who got it. And this is real. Like, this is like, yeah, not facts. But so for a lot of people, it makes sense. Like, you work to get to this spot, and that's it. You sit in, and it's like, cool. You work your way up. You spend 20 years doing your shit there, and you live a nice, charmed life.
That's a fact. And
that would have been fine, but I wasn't ready for that, like, settle. Like, I had other shit I wanted to do creatively. I had other ways I wanted to elevate within the industry and all that. It was like, yeah, I'm not going to be social media specialist for 7 years, you know, and then be a social media manager, and then be digital manager, and then, you know, that's just not going to work for me. So it just wasn't right in that sense. And, you know, it's nothing against them. Like, a lot of people love to have that job and do really well in that job. Just, for me, I wasn't on that type of time at the time.
I feel like you got that, like, creatives mentality. Like, I think all the creatives that I come across that want to put their hands in so many different things, they know they can do it. Like, everybody in this room. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to box us in. Yeah. Because we got so many ideas. We got so many other things we want to touch. We got so many other people we want to do things with. So to go through that process to then get you over that hump to where you are now with the etceteras, which, man, I don't even know what to say about it because it's super dope. A podcast that you host with arguably one of the greatest basketball players ever, Kevin Durant.
Who's arguing against that?
I'm right here. Mom might.
Come on now.
But yeah, man, a really dope podcast. So you guys have done some amazing interviews, and you know we'll talk about that later because I do want to know which one has been your favorite so far. Yeah. But in this instance, you're obviously working at ESPN. How did you and Kevin like connect on like a friendship level that then get into talk about doing business?
Yeah, I mean we met on Twitter, which is very me and very Kevin. And the podcast that I mentioned that I was doing, I did a segment basically saying, kind of talking about him, his decision to come out back east, and he had just had a nephew, and it just seemed like a family decision. And he teamed up with his friend. It just seemed like basketball as much as his lifestyle, and he was just. I got it as somebody who had recently moved out east to, you know, for work situation and with family and all that. Like, it made complete sense. So I kind of broke it down in real terms. And I tagged him because I know he's hella active. Yeah, and he ends up hitting me. He's like, yo, I'm fucking with this. And we just kind of strike up convo. I did the thirsty thing, of course, and said, y'all gotta have you on the show. But, you know, then we just talking hoop, we talking music, we talking, and like I mentioned, we talked about social media, and we just had a lot in common. We just had a lot of similar interests. We had a lot of similar goals. And one thing we talked about was, you know, what we do with media. He has a media company, obviously, and it's like, I told him, you know, I want to tell stories about shit I like in my voice to people that look like me. And I want to hear stories about shit I like from people that look like me and talk like me. 100%. And he was like, you know, his same goal. And it's like, how do we do that? It's like these constant conversations about how we do that. The stories we want to tell, the ways we want to tell them, and you know, just a lot of brainstorming. And he's got a real creative mind too. And you know, it took me a while to realize like he trusts me to carry out the vision because I'm running like every detail back to him. And like, he's like, yo, you got it, bro. Like you here for a reason. You know what I mean? But that was always the goal. You know, I had this, I won't say what platform, but I had this screenshot of like their NBA draft coverage. And it was like the dorkiest white dudes possible. Like, I'm talking glasses and all kind of shit, like it's balding, everything. You know, not that I'm saying they can't be knowledgeable, but I'm like, we talking about 18, 19-year-old black kids from the city who've been grinding for 15 years for this, like to save their families. And they talking about analytics and shit. And it's just like, this person won't play out. And all of that has a place and that's cool, but it's like, that's not how I view it. I sent it to Kevin and was like, this is a problem. Like, this right here is the problem.
The move right there.
And we laughed about it, but we talked about it, we got into depth with it. And like, you know, it was like I forget exactly what the writer said, but it was like, was questioning something one of the players did, like somebody they brought with him to the draft or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, he don't get that because he ain't rescued his family with this shit he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he ain't come from that and know that he need his cousin there with him. Because his cousin was the one who, you know, there's no way this writer understands that, he thinks about that. Nothing. He's trying to make jokes. That's not funny though. Mm-hmm. And it was like, just a lot of passionate conversations about shit like that. And it's like, well, let's do what we want to do. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so that's always our goal. Like, we want to talk about things we like, but in our voices, to people who look and sound like us too. And he gravitated to that. And, you know, I've been looking for that for so long that it was great to finally have it, and, you know, for it to be him and have the resources and the opportunity to actually do that. It just, you know, lightning struck, I guess.
So what interests me is so you got one dude who's, you've been in this space before, you had a podcast, you were already in the media space, and we know, like, a lot of these ball players, they do have personalities. A lot of them aren't on, like, full display, but now you got a ball player who wants to kind of test the waters in that regard. How does that mesh? Like, how did you guys figure out, like, the commonalities between you two on set, and just and how you guys just, I guess, built that relationship on camera?
Well, I mean, what I said, you know, we grew our friendship, and then what I explained to him was, I want people to see the Kevin I see. You know, when your guard's down and when you're not in a scrum and just talking about basketball, you know, because you like a cool dude.
And he's very, like, in tune with the coach as
and,
well.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, I'm not gonna say it took a lot of convincing, but, you know, try to help him understand how that's valuable. But he knew, he's a smart dude. It's like, let's do it. You know, kind of like pulling him into doing it. But it didn't take a lot. He understood. But it was like, that was my goal. Like, that was my immediate goal working with the company. And I explained that to Rich, I explained that to Kevin. It was like, let's show everybody this you. Like, you do on your own, but when we use this platform, let's do that thing too. You know, so we could talk about verses, and then, and then we could be in the club and people telling us, like, yo, kissing him upset. And we laughing, like, bro, we showed him a love though. Like, we just made a pic, you know what I mean? It's like, you know. But I wanted him to have that space to talk about that kind of shit. And we could get on there, and we could, you know, we quickly find out where Drake stands. So it's like, yo, we gotta have a place.
The intro is the Drake joint.
Yeah, we gotta have a place where we can talk about that second verse from Resistance. You know what I mean? Like, and it was all these elements of what he does, and like, you know, I think I told this story before, but like, when you meet somebody like that, you're not really sure what you're getting into yourself, and I'm sure he wasn't sure what he was getting into either. But we went and kicked it one time, and it was like, all right, like, you know, it's like dress code. It's like, oh, whatever, it's whatever. So I show up and it's like sweatpants, and he walks out to like, this man's let me in, and he comes to like greet me in sweatpants. It's like, all right, that's it. Same vibe, I get it. So it's like, you know, we was just on the same wavelength in so many ways. It's like, let's let people see this. You know what I mean? We talk about fashion, we talk about IG, we talk about whatever. It's like, let's let people see this part of you. And he's with it. I mean, I think it's dope. And we're in this really weird space with media. And I remember Will Smith, like when he really first started getting into IG, he had this video where he explained it, like, his idea of celebrity when he first came up was you had to be inaccessible. That's not celebrity anymore. Like, regular people are celebrities off how regular they are on YouTube, you know? And then enough people watch them and grab it. Now they driving Lambos and shit, and because we fucking enjoyed their normalcy. And it's like, let's show people that, you know? Let's show people. And so he's dipping into all those pools now. You know, we talking about music, and he's doing stuff with game, and you know, we'll talk about fashion at some point because, you know, we talked about it with Quavo, but like, you know, that kind of like cozy vibe that he goes, like, that's his own thing, you know, and he's like a real trendsetter with that. And well, I was telling him there's a game in LA that he didn't play after he hurt his hamstring, and he had like the little shorts and he had the Grateful Dead dunks. And I'm like, people about to start coming to the games like this now. They about to, and they did immediately after. He like the hoodie, the team hoodie, and the bright ass dunks. I'm like, we about to see this now. And it just started happening. It was like, bro, I'm telling you, like, you set the standard for a lot of this shit. Whether you care or not, you do. Mm-hmm. But he's cognizant of all of that, you know what I mean? And I think in a lot of ways he just needed the place to be able to show all that stuff too, and now we have it.
Facts. Yeah, man. I want to ask just a real general question about like being I want to say fanboy, but not really a fanboy in a sense, because there's so many people like you, like Armand, like Regina Cho, who I interviewed a couple weeks ago, who have had the opportunity to really interview and sit down with some of the greatest people in music, entertainment, fashion, whatever the case may be. And there's a level of composure you have to have for that, right?
Yeah.
So for you, I know that one of the, correct me if I'm wrong, the first episode that y'all guys got for etc. is with Kyrie, right?
Yeah.
Like you've already had the experience of interviewing big celebrities, but in this instance, like you got like an NBA champion who still very much is relevant.
Right.
This being your first episode, where's your mindset going into this?
So that came together really, really last minute. So our whole plan was to drop Kevin's birthday, which I believe is the 29th of September. So we had episodes in the can and a little bit different version of the show. And Kevin called me and was like, yo, Kyrie wants to do the show. This is maybe like Thursday before. And the show's gonna drop the following Thursday. And I'm like, word? Like, I was not gonna say no to Kyrie, right? Of course. And I'm like, what do you need me to do? He's like, he gives me the contact to talk to and set it up and schedule it. And so it happened that fast. And then we told him like 2 days later. And so, not to like flatter myself. I'm not really like a starstruck person. I mean, Hove. I might have to like hit Hove with the I need the picture. I'm gonna throw the rock like you know. But that's Hove. But like pretty much anybody else, anybody like this side of Beyonce, I'm pretty casual with it. And at the end of the day, they're humans. You know, they're just people just like us, and so that keeps it grounded for me. And I'm a huge Kyrie fan, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm not a fan, but it's like, all right, cool. Like, this is my man's friend, and so let's have a good convo. And Kevin is always this kind of safety net to where I got asked dumb shit because Kevin's there to make them feel comfortable. So I don't mean dumb. I mean like clickbaity shit that they probably got tired of being asked or people were scared to ask. But I could ask Kyrie who's gonna take the last shot. You know, I got asked shit like that, and so I knew I had that kind of like safety net.
There's a level of comfort.
Yeah, that I could approach things like that. But I don't really get nervous beforehand. I try to prep as much as I can so I'm ready for everything. But I do it so conversational and I could talk all day. So I run out of shit to ask you. I'm gonna start talking about me. Like I'm gonna start talking about some other shit. And then there's Kevin always there, so I can always volley to him and turn a question on that to him and all that. So it's just fun for me. It's fun knowing that we're gonna talk to these people and it's gonna matter. It's gonna be relevant in that sense. So I get excited for it. I don't get nervous, and you just try to be prepared and try to help them feel comfortable. And what we always say is, usually about 20 minutes in, people start cussing and shit. I'm like, okay, we got him. He's chilling now. Like, you know what I mean? And it's the same thing. So, I just try to have fun with it. But I was excited when he hit me and told me Kyrie. I was like, oh, cool, because I got stuff to ask. You know what I mean? I want to know. And we ended up talking for 3 hours. We had to make it 2 episodes. And, Kai was hella cool. He was real cool, and forever grateful for him for doing that. And, that's him and Kevin. They brothers, and they gonna rock like that. And, so it was like, when he asked him, it was like, of course, like, what do you think? Man. So it was he's my cheat code, I guess, in that sense.
Speaking of talking about yourself, I was watching a recent interview you did where you talked about one of your struggles, just being in that space with Kevin, is that a lot of times people are tuning in for like the Kevin show almost.
Yeah.
Like you feel like granted you guys are co-hosts, but with him having the bigger name, bigger platform, you feel like people are tuning in for the Kevin Show. How are you, now that you guys have your multiple episodes in, how have you been able to kind of to balance that where you know you have a lot to offer to this platform as well?
Well, I mean, that comes from, really frank conversations with him and Rich, just the idea of this show and all of that leads to the trust they've given me, and it's very much my platform as much as it is Kevin's. Whether or not he's more famous than me or not, that's how we see it. So knowing that they've entrusted me with that gives me the confidence to go, I can do what I need to do, But I do know a lot of listeners is going to listen and be like, but slowly but surely, they'll say, oh, no, he's not so bad. And, oh, no, he's kind of like the funny part of the show or this and that. And slowly win them all. I'm not going to win everybody. I'm dealing with diehard Kevin fans. Yeah. But, and then depending on the guest, it's going to be diehard, Jerry Lorenzo fans or whoever. But, definitely take ownership of the platform because they entrusted me with that, and I'm gonna take it and do as much as I can with it. So it was a struggle at first, and it was like, Kevin told me outright, this is your show, like I'm just here, think of it like that. All right, just say less.
Say less, yeah, word.
And then it went from there.
That's dope. That's to have somebody like that again who has a name, has a platform, but still put as much trust and faith in you. To say, yo, we carrying this together. It's not a one-man show. Yeah. Like, that right there, that's some real camaraderie right there. You don't really get that most of the time.
Yeah, Kevin himself was like that, and, everybody's not like that. Everybody in that position is not like that, so I'll always be appreciative of those type of things, because those are the things he doesn't have to do. You know what I mean? He could just have a host who shows up to ask him questions when he's ready to talk, and then that's it, he's out. Right. And that's not how he moves at all. And everybody's not like that, and I know that, and so I'm appreciative of the way he moves. You know what I mean?
Gotcha, I feel that. Favorite interviews, man. You guys have interviewed Jerry. You guys interviewed Draymond. You guys interviewed 40. Quavo. Shit, it's a very good list there. Yeah. J. Cole, which was a really dope one. What was your favorite one and why?
I enjoy them all. Like, I hate to be like, it's like picking babies or whatever, but it kind of is because I enjoy them all for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like, we did an episode on Slam. We talked to Russ and Scoop, we mentioned earlier, and I enjoy that for the storytelling element and the way we was able to get into that aspect of interviewing and that aspect of podcasting. And then I enjoy Cole because it's like, Cole did 2 interviews this year, and he probably not going to talk again for 2 more years. And one of them was us. And we got to talk to Cole about being a professional basketball player 2 days before his professional basketball debut. You know what I mean? And then we got to talk to him about the warm-up. Yeah. It was just 10 years old, and he probably is 12 years old, and he probably ain't talked about it in who knows how long. And it's like...
At least on a platform like that.
Yeah, and I got to tell Cole, like, yo, you really got away from your shit. Like, what's up? And he was like, I knew that. Like, I'm back, you know? And Draymond, I got to tell Draymond, like, yo, I had this funny tweet, bro, and like, you have to know, like, you know? So I enjoy them all for different reasons. As far as favorite, like, I feel like it's different every time. I enjoyed LeVar Ball, Kamaru Usman. We talked to Derek Ali, and we talked about Kendrick shit and just got the nerd out. So I enjoy them all for different reasons. I think, so it's tough to pick a favorite. It changes. I go back and listen, and I see the progress. So that leads me towards like the second half, but then I appreciate kind of like the exuberance that we had in the beginning. So it's a mixed bag, but the next one is my favorite. Whatever that ends up being.
I like that answer. That's a dope answer. You also have like a sort of like a, I guess you could say like an extension of the Etceteras, right? Called Locked In.
Locked In. Yeah.
I saw an episode of that where you was doing it was like a Courtside episode. Yeah. And like how was that like your idea, or did they kind of brainstorm that? Like,
nah. So shout out to Cameron Hay. We kind of came together on this idea, but I've always been, given the latitude to basically do whatever I want with this platform. and we went through some ideas, and I do some writing, and I do some of this, and I do that, and but we wanted to do something on video, and so me and Cam drummed up this idea of just like really locking into the story behind a certain thing, and so we try to be as varied as we can. The first episode was on the what the dump, and it's like, what's the backstory here? Why does this matter? Why is this a thing that we care about? And explaining it to people who might not know, and then we do court like what. Why is the Courtside seat so impactful? What is the legacy of the Courtside seat? And we had an episode on shit. We've done so many now, like So it's like we just wanted to dive into these, whether it be a big event or a small little element, of something. And we had fun with it, man. And then they pushed me out on the camera. Now I gotta talk. Now I gotta learn this other thing. And I'm enjoying it though. And we received a lot of great feedback on what we've done. And now we're doing shorts. So we just did like a minute-long version about Madden, and it's expanding. And I just like doing it because I like telling stories. Yeah. So I wanna break down, like, everybody knows Travis Scott gets hyped for all his shoes. But how did that happen? I want to break down, I want to show that, I want to push that out there with some dope visuals. And my man Andrew, he's like so dope as a designer. So like me and Cam did the first, I think it's an episode that even came out. At least like the pilot, I guess, of this. And it was like, yo, what can you do with this, Drew? And he come back like 3 days later, some shit like we never imagined. Like we couldn't have done it like that in our minds. And it was like, nah, it's like the dream team, man. It's like, all right, let's lock in. So, I mean, plus it gives me a chance to work with my friends, and I look forward to expanding the brand of the Etc. more, and that was always the plan. We had the pod, but this opens up so many avenues for us. What else can we get into from the pod? And that's just the first element, and hopefully there'll be more in the future.
Yeah, that Courtside episode was dope. With you just like walking around the court and all of that. Like it was super fun.
It was crazy because it's like we did it no me, right? Just a voiceover. And I was like, man, that'd be fire if we could go Courtside.
Yeah. And
then I tell Rich, and like it's like I'm telling people around the office, not sure if we could really pull this off, and then just having to walk past Rich, it was like, yo, can we go into the Barclays? It's like, yeah. You want me to call right now? It's like, I mean, we could do it today. And it's like, let's do it like tomorrow. I was like, all right. And it was just like that. It was like, oh, if we can do that, this is going to look way dope. And we was able to do that. So it worked out. And I like that episode a lot.
It was dope.
If y'all can see me doing that shit in that arena for 30 minutes trying to get my, like, you'll be laughing. But I had fun with it. And I got to shoot around on the court. WNBA ball, but
yeah.
I was getting my shit on. I was mixing them up and knock some jump. I even got one for the gram, so I had fun though. I mean, how often you get to shoot an empty arena? So
yeah, nice.
It was dope, and they were so accommodating to me. I mean, look who my connect is, yo. So yeah, of course the Barclays is gonna be available, but it was just funny how Rich was like, that's it. It's like you remember on The Wire when they came to Avon and he was asking for $20K for the boxing gym.
Facts.
All that for 20? Get this motherfucker 30 grand,
man. You're a
man.
Lion fan too.
Yo, I live and die by that. What you mean? So nah, it was like that. It was funny. So I was like, all right, cool.
That's dope. So I want to ask somewhat of I guess, personal question and just how this came about. Like 10 years ago, would you have ever thought that this guy who we revere to be one of the greatest basketball players ever would team up to do like a real important platform with someone who 10, 15 years ago was still trying to figure out life, still didn't know where he was leading, still didn't know how he was going to make ends meet? If you could look back at it now, how would you even visualize that?
Nah, I mean, like, for me, like, one of the biggest things for me is I think about when I was younger and the limited options I thought I had. Like, when I grew up in Oak Park, so I don't know the rapper Ozzy. I lived 2 houses down. We grew up together. And so, like, the dude with the money in the neighborhood was a pimp. He was a pimp. We knew he was a pimp. My mom told me he's a pimp. But he had money. He looked like a Mustang. 5.0 and had like rims, and it was like, yo, I want to be that. Like, that's how, those are the only jobs I knew. You fucking be a basketball player, you be a pimp, or you could go work at a warehouse. I didn't know none of this shit was an option. So for me, that's my focus at all times. Like, I want my son, my daughter, my brothers, my nephews, my nieces, people in general to see like this is, you can do other shit. Like, you're not limited in what you can do. T.I. said in Atlanta, he told Rashad, you gotta be a dope boy to have money. That's like that. And it's like, that's amazing for me, for people to see. People who look like us, people who came up like us. And so, the reason why though is because I didn't know. So 12 years ago, 5 years ago, I'm talking shit about KD online, you know? I didn't think this type of avenue was possible for me. And even when I was in college, just trying to figure out what to do, I was gonna be a pharmacy tech. Like, I think in a million years I could talk about basketball on the internet and people would care. So I didn't think it was possible, but I want people to understand like there's avenues for you everywhere. Whether you gotta get up and make it yourself, whether you connect with the right people, or you do a little bit of both. There's options. It might not be hooking up with whoever the new Devin Booker or Ja Morant and they doing some shit, but there's stuff there to be done, and we control this. People tap into us and want us to write for their publication and to consult with them because they don't know what's what. I sat with CEOs of companies and said, yo, 2018, covered the baby in May. Like, unfortunately, like, they are what they are now. At odds or whatever, but they're big.
They were the biggest things in that year.
They didn't know who the fuck they were. And because they're not in tune, like, we control that. We know what's going on. We push what's happening. You know what I mean? And it's natural for us. So I'm trying to have people understand, like, we have the power in that. Whether we got to create our own platforms, whether you got to link with the right people, whatever, or you got to get within this platform and then do it from there, we do control that. So that's a long, like, winded ass answer to say I had no clue. But I knew I had some semblance of control over what matters, over what people think matters, over knowing what's moving within culture. And there was a way to push that somehow. And slowly got to know one way to do it. But there's other ways to do it too. Like, it's not just what I'm doing. It's not just, you don't have to be sitting next to an NBA player to talk about it to make it matter. So I had no clue. I knew something though.
I mean, shit, man. Just, you've shown that, like you said, the possibilities are endless. Like, I think we now just in this, as I mentioned earlier, being creatives and understanding that there's multiple ways that we can expand our names, expand our brands. We got resources now where we can tap into people and connect with people. So utilizing the resources and going back to what you said about how you and Kevin connected off a tweet, off some Twitter shit. Like, that's what's really been happening. So to see that come to fruition, like, yo, you could really get it out here with in these ways, these avenues. It's important. So man, shit. What you listening to right now? I'm heavy on R&B. Like, I was just telling my little bro, like, I go through these phases, and so it's like, as far as rap, I've been listening to Draco like a lot lately. Like, I'm either oldie ignorant with the rap, or I'm like a really sad in love woman. So these joints that SZA just dropped, they're like speaking to my soul. So I've been on that heavy. What was I listening to? I had a Drake R&B playlist going for y'all out here while I cleaned up and shit. Oh man, it's best Drake though, man.
Like, I found a dope one on Spotify. I was like, yo, I just rock with this playlist sometimes. But like, I've been heavy on the slow shit, and I'm waiting on Summer's album. You know, I hope she give us a single at some point. I'm waiting on her shit, but Mariah Stein's album, hard.
Fire.
Damn,
it's fire too.
What else? I mean, Isaiah Rashad shit is dope. I've been playing that a lot too. I still like Cole's album. I still go back to Cole's album.
What you think about King's Disease too?
I was tweeting about it because it was funny. I hate the Brunt song with the passion.
He was just playing.
I hate the Brunt song with the passion. But it's joints on there.
Yeah.
The Death Row joint, Death Row East joint, was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. I like when he gets in that bag, you know, and it's, you know, because he's one of the ones that can do that. As much as I fake hate Nas, like I'm always gonna be intrigued by what he's doing. So I rock with it. I rocked with it. I like the joint with A Boogie and YG too. I like that. Hit Boy said it like as some slander, but I do like the element of just rapper producer locking in.
Yeah, he said that with a lot of slander.
Making some shit. He did right. Knocking some shit out and then giving that to the world because that's two people expressing themselves and that's like the purest form of, nobody's touching it but them. And like, I remember hearing about the album, somebody I know had linked up with them, not linked up with them, like they were all at a studio and it was like, yo, we're 2 hours down. And they played some of the album and it literally just, like Hit had invited dude over. He came in, heard the album, and like it took him a second to realize Nas was sitting there right. So it was really just them two in the studio just rocking. I'm like, that's dope. I like that. I appreciate that energy. So when he said it, I'm like, that's fire.
That's dope.
But yeah, I mean, I rock with it. Bodie James.
Oh, now
Bodie just dropped the joint, and
yeah.
he is like, he's so unique in what he does that other people can't even copy it. Like he's like. It's funny that he's from Detroit because so many people are going after the Detroit sound right now. But his Detroit sound is so unique and so whole to himself that nobody can try to even emulate that. Even when folks get on songs with him, they just bring their own shit.
They have to, yeah.
And it's like, I fuck with bro. He said some shit on one of them joints. He was like, you do what you get paid to do. I do. No, what he say? You only do what you get paid, what you can get paid to do. I get paid for what I do, or some shit like that. But it was like, oh shit, like he was really kicking that shit. So
I fuck with Bodie.
I love Bodie. Bodie's hard.
I fuck with Bodie. That's one project I gotta get. So I have a habit of downloading a bunch of albums and shit and not really getting to them.
I was just telling bro earlier, like the shit comes so fast.
Yeah, facts.
It's like I barely had time to consume it, but I'm old, so like,
Bro, you keep saying that.
I'm 35. So I'm old.
Come on, bro.
I bought Snoop shit on tape when it dropped. I'm old. But point being, I'll get an album and I'll get stuck on that album and then I'll miss 10 because I'm listening to Mariah Silence for 2 weeks. And it's like, I don't even care what else came out. I like this one. And so I miss a lot of shit. But I've been all over the place. We did a Travis episode, so I like really deep dove into Travis for like a week, and it's like, man, he got some shit on in his catalog, man. And but no, I try to mix it up where I can. Get some Amy Winehouse in there when I can.
Yeah, it's nice to mix it up. I fuck with that.
I try to, man. But yeah.
So this is a question that I like to ask all my guests because I feel like depending on where you are in life, depending on what field you're in, age, whatever the case may be, you have a different perspective of it. So for you, for everything that you've been through up until this point, like what's your definition of success?
I just had a conversation about this, and I'm learning a lot about money in the last couple of years. Just growing, period, and the company I keep, and getting to see different types of money, if you know what I mean. And what I realized is money is about convenience. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't got enough money, you want to walk somewhere. If you got enough money, you could call a car and it will take you there. If you got a little more money, a plane will take your ass there. You know what I mean? A little plane that only you and your friends with. And like, if you want to clean your house, you can pay somebody good. Like, all kind of shit like that. So happiness ain't always money. Like, money is just kind of makes things easier. If that makes sense. So it's not that for me. It's like, I mentioned in the very beginning, I feel like I'm working less than ever and just living more than ever. And to me, that's success. It's the ability to just do what I want on any given time, any given day. And I got a lot of that right now. I still have work I do, but I want to do that work. So it's just that feeling of just doing whatever I want. So if I want to play PlayStation when you leave, till Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I can. You know what I mean? Like, I have to move some shit around and shit, but I can. I can sit on this couch and play PlayStation until Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in a really successful, happy place at the time, and it ain't always been this way for me. So it's dope, and that's just freedom. I remember talking to somebody about Lil Wayne, and they were like, you know, he just skates, records, and he plays Call of Duty all day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Lil Wayne plays Call of Duty? He's like, yeah. I said, yo, he said Twitch, like he should stream. Mm-hmm. And it was like, but then it'll feel like work.
Facts.
And Wayne only does what he wants. Mm-hmm. Nothing else. If it don't make him happy, he won't do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's fire. That's like a really dope way to live. Mm-hmm. And that's not what inspired me like to feel that way, but I had already been feeling that way. But hearing that somebody like that lives like that, and so that's all he does. His studio and his skate park was in the same building. He drives there. He does one of them too, and he gets on the game. And if he wants to do some other shit, he will. And if not, he chill. And it's like, that's kind of what I seek. And for the most part, I'm getting at these days. So yeah, the success is just kind of like that freedom to do whatever the fuck I want. And I'm enjoying that, man. I walk my dog. I fucking get my Starbucks. And I sit here and I relax as much as I can. Like I said, I'm old. I got weary bones, man.
You better mile fucking steps.
Oh man, don't be telling these people I'm exercising, man. You know the internet think I'm fat and all kind of shit, man. You gotta let the internet think that, bro. Damn. But nah, I mean that's part of it too. Yeah. We got a gym here, got a gym across the street. I'm trying to, you know when you get locked into the gym, how fulfilling that shit can be sometimes. You know,
like my man right here, he a personal trainer.
Yeah.
My man Shy.
So I need that, man. I need somebody to like. If I got my diet on point, I seen a meme that was like, God, I want to be skinny, but food is good. Like,
that's tough.
And I'm like, bro, I felt that in my soul, because I'm like, I will fuck the gym up.
Yeah.
But then I want a blueberry muffin from fucking Starbucks. You know what I mean? I'll eat a really good meal, but then I want cheesecake from Junior's too, and it's like
find a balance. Yeah.
I gotta find the balance, man. I instead of being 180, like I had to just settle to be like 195, and just be, just like how I look in my shirt.
Yeah,
I mean it is, but nah, I mean you pick and choose, right? Like if I had to work too much. I probably it wouldn't be fun no more. But the way it is now, it's like I get to go around these 3 miles. I get to do this. It's fun. I'm in there having fun. It's like I get to hear my music, my podcast, and I'm straight. So it's all about balance, man. I'm trying to, like I said, man. I'm telling these people, that's everybody's favorite joint. Is like I'll be nowhere without Kevin, and I'm like 300 pounds, and I was just like, all right, and whatever it is, man.
whatever y'all taking for the day, whatever.
I'm with it. All of that. It's all true. Everything you hear is true.
So I wanna ask you what's next, but I know that just in researching you and checking out one of your previous interviews, you say you try not to focus on what's next.
Yeah.
Because we don't get the opportunity. We're so focused on what's next, we don't get the opportunity to live in what we have right now in the present.
Oh, and I'm bad at that, bro. Like I'm bad at like. I was looking at apartments. Mm-hmm. Like I've been looking at apartments for like 2 months. Mm-hmm. And then, but sometimes I come to my apartment, it's like, I got a nice apartment. Like, I'm looking for, like, my next apartment. This one's cool, you know what I mean? And, like, make this a home. And I'm real bad at that. And the last, like, maybe year, I really try to, I had this analogy. It's like, you climb a mountain, and you're supposed to look around and be like, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. I made it to this top of this mountain, and look at the scenery, and, like, this shit is... And I had a real bad habit of going, damn, that's another mountain right there, though. And I could climb that one. I know I can, because I did this one. and then you get to that, it's another mountain. So it's always mountains. And so I'm trying to enjoy this mountain as much as I can. But as far as, like, work and what's coming next, we are definitely working. The podcast is coming back, and people keep asking me. We're working on, our guests and all that stuff now. And for me, it's just expanding what we do and just really honing in on doing it right and doing it as best I can and just little improvements here and there. And, the possibilities are limitless, man. Like, I'd love to make a doc, I'd love to write a scripted show. I love to do all kind of shit. And then I want to travel. Then I want to do this. You know, so I try to take it as day at a time as I can, but also be calculated and plan ahead and plan forward. And you know, I get that to Rich. Somebody asked me one day, like, what have you learned most working with Rich? That's what I've definitely learned. It's like how to focus on now and long term and at the same time. It used to be one or the other to me. And I've definitely learned a lot about that working with him and our team. And, you know, but a lot of stuff is next. You know, hopefully more than what I'm thinking of now is next. So, you know, we can get into the music space more than we are, and we can expand beyond what we do, and maybe me and Kevin can do more things together, and then I'll do more things separate from Kevin. And Kevin got a busy year coming up, man. Hopefully it goes really well, and hopefully I'm going to a lot of games, and hopefully, you know, having a good time. But I was trying to enjoy it because I wasn't, and I got a lot of people in my life who try to like, yo, do you see what you're doing? And I don't, because I'm so locked in to like what I'm trying to do next and what I'm busy with now and planning this. And, you know, we working on an episode locked in right now. And I'm like, you know, but I'm thinking of 3 episodes down the line because in October is the anniversary of this and this and that. And so my mind is always all over the place. But I'm enjoying it more than I ever had because I'm able to see both. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, I don't got anything else, bro. That was amazing.
No, I appreciate you coming through, man. Like I said, I don't get too many guests, and I always tell people, you know, had I been more social in my industry shit, I probably would have like moved faster and did different things. I'm such a dickhead that like I wasn't rocking with a lot of people, so I'm trying to like, you know, people I actually rock with, like let's lock in, let's do shit. So I rock with what you doing. Like I said, I talked to Pierce and he said, yo, the vibes was hella cool. So
shout out to Pierce, man. Pierce Simpson.
Pierce is my brother, man, and I'm like, yeah, let's rock, man. Let's get out there, let's do some stuff. And you know, I was excited. I cleaned up the house. Looking like Cinderella earlier. I was thinking about it when I was doing it. I was like, do we clean up when guests are coming because we want them to think this is how our house always looks? Or is it just like, we want you to know that I can clean if need be? Like, what is the idea?
I think it's one.
Yeah.
I go for his option.
Yeah, because I'm like, nah, this is not how the house looks. But nah, man, I appreciate you even reaching out, and I like what y'all doing. And, you know, like I said earlier, I want to see more people that look like me, come from places like me, doing this. Who better to tell our stories than people we rock with, people who get it.
That's a fact.
So, appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. But before we get out of here, though, we came through bearing some gifts for you and Kevin.
Oh, man.
Compliments to Visionary Society. Be able to pass me that bag.
I hope you like it, man.
So that bag right here is for you.
Oh, word?
Yeah, it's a hoodie in there. I think a hat as well.
Yo, I almost put a hoodie on to do this. Thank God, my man made me turn the AC on.
And we got a bag here. Pass me that bag.
Yo, this too fire, bro. I'm for sure right now. I gotta do some stuff on camera this week too, so I'm doing some.
And we got these bags here for Kev. So next time we get Kev, talk some those. The hoodie, flannel, all that in there as well.
Kevin will be back a couple weeks. Media day and say, appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, man. Eddie Bansky Gonzalez, I appreciate you, my brother.
For sure, bro.
Lifestyle NYC, Visionary Society. We out of here.